This episode of Total Drama Reviews contains clips from Total Drama Island. I do not own Total Drama Island. All rights go to FreshTV. Remember to be civil and do not be me in the comments. Seriously, it can get really messed up. Carpe diem, my name is Ultranatic, a lover of animation and reality shows, as evidenced by my long-running series of Total Drama Reviews. In this series, I've looked at every episode of the first season of the most popular animated reality show, Total Drama, to see where it worked, didn't work, and if it's still on its own as a good cartoon. And after seeing every episode of the first season, I think I can declare that, yes, it is a good cartoon. With some admittedly bad aspects, but hey, if every pork chop were perfect,
we wouldn't have hot dogs!
Revisiting this show after more than a decade was so much fun. It has standout comedy, unforgettable characters, and more drama than a year's worth of tabloid journals. But with that said, it did have several blunders too, with weak relationships, poorly constructed challenges, and terribly forced eliminations. So in the end, this show is a mixed bag of both great episodes and garbage episodes, so I decided the best thing to do was to put them together in this ranking of the top 5 best and worst episodes of Total Drama Island. Now, which end to start out with? Well, when given the choice between having the good news or the bad news come first, people normally take the bad news because, hey, let's just get out of the way right now. And this will be no exception. Granted, I won't be going super in-depth in these episodes because, well, I've got whole videos about them. So if you want more info on any of my opinions on any of these episodes, you can go check those out. And keep in mind, these are my personal opinions, so if your opinion differs from mine, that's fine. These are just my picks for where I think the show needed the most improvement. So prepare for not receiving a marshmallow. This is what I consider the top 5 worst episodes of Total Drama Island. Number 5. The Sucky Outdoors. This one is lowest on the list because, sadly, it's actually a pretty good episode. The teams are all tasked to spend one night in the woods, and whichever intact team arrived back to camp first the next morning would win the challenge. The episode knew how to incorporate the environment of Survivor and even proper character dynamics. Plus, the Screaming Gophers had probably the most diverse and funny plot of that episode.
Oh my goodness, I did not see that coming!
So if I'm praising it that much, why is it on this list at all? Well, if you've seen my videos, you all know what the answer is.
Oh, I knew I should have known better than to listen to you. You don't think I'm smart enough to find them? Well, you're not exactly the best with, like, direction.
Yeah, this episode is almost completely centered around Tweedle shut and Tweedle the F up.
You lean on me. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't even be on this show. You're just saying that because I'm prettier than you.
I consider these two combined to be the worst characters of this season. They were always whining or squeeing or arguing over who had the worst cooties or something along that line. Honestly, actual preschoolers had more mature fights than they did.
That's it. When we get back to camp, we are so splitting up as BFFFLs. Fine. Double fine.
And this episode showed me that these two BFFFLs were anything but. Because if your friendship is constantly broken up in a span of hours only to be immediately rekindled by the end, that's a crappy excuse for friendship. I'm sure some friendships are like that IRL, but combined with how annoying these two malfunctioning fire alarms were, it was the least respectable way their friendship could have been constructed. The main 6 would never approve of this. So while half the episode might have been an easy stroll through the forest, its other half was a treacherous, unbearable hike the rest of the way.
I think I'm gonna be sick.
Number 4. That's Off the Chain. Damn, this episode had a great concept but was completely screwed up by the challenge rules, as the cast were required to make their own bicycle for a race later in the challenge.
Awesome! Because my bike is built for speed.
Yeah, unfortunately, you won't be riding it, Heather. You'll be switching bikes.
I still don't understand that part. And leading to a final challenge where the winner takes all and the loser gets jacked. The episode's challenge construction is more poorly put together than DJ's bike. None of the rules made any sense, and 2 contestants are taken out of the challenge for a stupid subplot that leads nowhere. Well, okay, it led all over the island, but it didn't affect the story. In fact, this whole story was written this way for one purpose: to get Lindsay out of the game.
It's Dock of Shame time, baby.
Okay, I'm so confused.
I'll admit, Lindsay has had her flat, stupid moments throughout the series, but what's so terrible about that is that there are times where she's actually written really smart, but then the writers just forget about it later on in the show. Hell, she took apart a motor on on Chef's bike for Heather's, and what did Heather say about her?
I've got flip-flops with more brains than her.
I know she's that kind of saying, but the writer shouldn't be. With that said, it's not at the top of this list because it contains one of the best endings of any episode. I'd let the moment speak for itself, but instead, I'll let it bleep for itself.
All that bad stuff people say about you is true. Like how you're a two-faced, backstabbing, lying little...
This moment is so funny and so iconic that it does sort of save the episode, but not enough to keep it off this list. If the episode's goal was to crash and burn, it succeeded with flying colors.
Good luck, Heather. I hope you get everything your karma owes you.
Number 3. Phobia Factor. I know, I figured the episode would be at number 1 as well. My review of Phobia Factor has 2 distinctions. One being one of the few total drama reviews without a single comment in it as of this video. Legit, kinda confused about that one. And 2 being one of the few reviews that exceeded the runtime of the episode it was about. The only other one I did was the last episode really, but even that had a second ending. This is a one terrible, horrible, no good, very bad plot. Which is a huge letdown given the episode's paying homage to Fear Factor. That is what the episode's challenge is, the contestants facing their worst fears. And whichever team has more players complete their challenges by facing those fears wins it all.
Prepare to face your worst fears!
Worse than this? We're in trouble.
But it's so horribly set up with a ridiculously forced share fest where everyone confesses their worst fears.
I'm scared of hail. Small but deadly, dude.
Being left alone in the woods.
Bad haircut.
Guys, this isn't a game of Never Have I Ever, it's Total Drama Island! And then when the challenges do pop up, most are either poorly thought out or unfairly award or not award points to the wrong person. The ending only barely makes sense, and almost no good comedy comes from this episode. So why isn't it higher on this worst list? Because if I really stretch it, there's a couple good things in the episode. As ridiculous as the scorekeeping was, the challenges were all very diverse, especially since contestants' biggest fears were rarely ever the same. It does provide motivation to try and face the things they're most afraid of, and I do love that scene where Duncan and Courtney bond, as it was both heartwarming and hilarious at the same time.
Duncan, you're awesome.
I did it!
But unlike the swearing scene from That's Off the Chain, those elements don't nearly redeem this episode. It's still unfunny, still contrived as a control group, and it's still the biggest missed opportunity of any concept for any episode. I guess to its credit, the idea of having to watch this plot again truly scares me, but for all the wrong reasons.
You'll get that chicken next time, dude.
Number 2. Search and do not destroy. Let's first talk about the positives. Yeah, another episode with a great idea for a challenge, being a treasure hunt for the key to a chest with potential rewards inside, and within the episode contained many funny jokes, charming character dynamics, and some of the biggest drama ever shown in the series. So with all those elements working in favor of the episode, where did it fail?
Everyone knows that boyfriend-girlfriend is just another way to say alliance, and my alliance is gonna be the only alliance on this island.
You see, the episode is less remembered for the challenge and more for a certain development of fan-favorite showmance Gwen, between loner goth Gwen and cool musician Trent. But throughout the season, their chemistry has been so wooden it's being burned down in the Amazon right now, and their rapport with each other is about as harmonious as this. Plus, the rest of the plot revolved around Heather breaking them up in the most obvious breakup plot ever, which unfortunately works perfectly.
Gwen confided in the girls last week that she really can't stand you and thinks you're a total cliche, your music sucks, and she's only stringing you along to get further in the game.
It gives us all the terrible rom-com cliches and leads to Heather just having immunity handed to her, basically.
Oh, and look, an invincibility pass. Lucky me.
I'm a Republican. I am not a Democrat. I do not believe in handouts.
And it all culminates to an infuriating conclusion to the episode.
Why should you care? You think I'm a cliche.
Where'd you get that from?
Her?
Well, if I didn't know any better, I'd say you two were idiots!
This episode is so bad it might be my cause of just not being a fan of love stories in the first place. Even Mulan 2 didn't accomplish that. That's a huge feat. If this episode is so bad that I'll defend this over it,
What is it with men and asking directions?
What is it with women and maps?
then the only fate it deserves is being trampled by a creature 1,000 times its size and weight. And the #1 worst episode of Total Drama Island is Brunch of Disgustingness. For anyone who's seen all my videos, this pick might confuse you. After all, I've done more shit talking of Phobia Factor and Search and Do Not Destroy than any other episode, so why does this one take the top spot? Because those other 2 episodes, at the very least, elicit a reaction out of me. Brunch of Disgustingness elicits nothing. In this episode, the teams are split by a janitor partaking a classic eating challenge with disgusting courses, of which most of the items eaten would either kill them or send them to the hospital at the very least. Heck, at least half of my casualty counter came from this episode. But yeah, while a beloved archetype for any challenge, this episode is 100% skippable. The characters don't get any development, good or bad. Heather tries aligning with Bridget, but to no avail, so that didn't do anything. And any other potentially exciting dynamics are broken up by Chris McLean, the host of the show.
Big day ahead of us.
DJ chickened out.
Kidding me?
Chris McLean didn't think those potential drama-inducing conflicts were worth the time? That is one of the hugest signs of disrespect to reality TV as a genre. And because of that, it makes her one of the most boring eating challenges ever constructed. Vomit all colored the same, no variation on the humor, and nothing to want to come back to. With every episode listed before this one, not only was I able to find something positive about them, even if only barely, but even if other people hated them, at least you have to watch them to continue with the overarching stories this season. But this challenge doesn't even have an elimination, it's all for reward.
This week, no one will be kicked off. It's all for reward, and it's a good one.
So the episode is both so bad that I want to skip it, and is so unnecessary that it's completely okay to skip it. And when an episode stoops to that low, there's no more to say about it. And that's why I declare the Brunch of Disgustingness to be the #1 worst episode of Total Drama Island.
Lashana, you are completely useless!
So those episodes were all the duds, and you'd think with how bad I consider them to be that this season was a complete failure. Not necessarily. Because while I immediately knew my 5 worst episodes, I actually had a hard time narrowing down the 5 best because there were actually quite a few very good episodes, so it was pretty hard to narrow it down to just 5. But in the end, I did narrow it down, so get ready for a great nostalgia trip as I count down the top 5 best episodes of Total Drama Island. Number 5, Haunt Capture. The sad thing is, I want to put this episode a lot higher because it gave a lot of people even more of their favorite characters. Which is fitting since most of the people in this episode have been out of the game for quite some time now. As we take a look at this series version of Ponderosa known as
Playa de Losers,
where all of the previously eliminated contestants enjoy the lap of luxury while coping with the loss of the $100,000 prize. I have so many fond memories of this episode because of so many hilarious character moments. A lot of them from Noah and Izzy.
Did I get anything out of this experience? No. It was completely and totally uneventful.
He kissed a guy.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
A funny, albeit weirdly told revenge story between Courtney and Harold.
Did you hear something?
There you are, you little traitor!
Ow, 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 ow!
And incredibly, even Katie and Sadie are likable on this. Freaking Katie and Sadie.
Who do you guys want to win if you could vote right now?
Can I pick Sadie? You'd pick me and not you? Duh, you can't vote for yourself. That's tacky.
And when an episode can make Katie and Sadie good characters, that's the sign of a great episode. So why isn't it higher on the list? This bullshit.
Tonight, you will be voting the next camper off. Total Drama Island.
On one hand, I kind of like the idea of these guys having their revenge and voting someone else off. That'd be such a cathartic way to get Heather out of the game since she did most of them wrong. But the god-awful writing of the episode forces Lashana out of the game instead. Because apparently all you had to do was say her name to vote her off.
Oh, I miss Lashana the most. Definitely Lashana. Why are you voting her off? If you like Lashana? Leave her in!
That's 3 votes, Lashana.
What? No!
Even though some characters explicitly said they weren't voting her off.
Don't worry, I'm not gonna vote for Lashana.
Lindsay!
No, you can't vote for me. You have to vote for someone who's in the final 5, like Lashana.
There's also the fact that Lindsay had 2 votes cast for Lashana somehow, as well as all the votes that were accounted for by the parent.
Lashana?
No!
Only one Lashana?
Nice!
I know they meant it as a joke, but I'm sorry. That's not funny. That's infuriating.
Okay, come on, guys. No one say Lashana!
That's 6 votes, Lashana.
So yeah, this is one of those episodes that has a great concept and execution up until the end. But hey, the first 2/3 of the episode were some of the show's best writing, and for that, it deserves a relaxing stay for all the trouble it's been through.
Dude, this resort is off the charts!
Number 4. I Triple Dog Dare Ya. An episode so good it also has one of the show's best titles, where the remaining campers have to play a game of spin the bottle minus the kissing. I still say it's not true spin the bottle, but whatever. As the campers have to perform dares given by the previous contestants or risk elimination themselves. Gwen and Heather's rivalry really comes to a head in this competition.
Heather's strength is obviously her bottomless pit of mean. I'm banking on her massive ego to be her downfall. Thankfully, Gwen has no strength. She's just a low-rent gutter punk with dragon breath and ugly hair.
Owen's subplot is also very funny in how willing he is to perform every dare given to him.
Dude, you have 2 freebies you can use. Better yet, you could dare an opponent, one without a freebie.
And need we forget the best ending in the show's history, where Heather, one of the biggest villains of my childhood, gets her comeuppance in the best way possible. Lindsay gives her a dare to have her head shaved by Chef, and if she doesn't do it, she loses the $100,000.
Lindsay rules!
Heather never says if she'll do it or not, and instead kicks the razor, which flies over her and shaves the majority of her head. And since she never accepted the dare, she is in fact out of the game.
Tough break.
Not only is this a well thought out punishment for Heather that includes her not getting what she wants, but the fact that she got this punishment from Lindsay after how badly she got screwed over by her puts the cherry on top of this sundae.
You lose, they win.
No way! Yes!
Sure, the episode has a pointless subplot of Chris and Chef betting, and the plot does seem repetitive after a while. But those are minor gripes that don't get in the way of an episode that knew exactly what it needed to do and how to do it. Get Heather out of the game and simultaneously take something away that meant a lot to her. But hey, look on the bright side, Heather. At least you weren't in Saw 4.
What's in the gears?
Honestly, that might have been the only way this could have been more cathartic. Well paced, hilarious, and with a perfect ending, this episode is a triple dose of perfection.
Satisfied? Very.
Number 3. Camp Castaways. I know, how the heck is this on the list of the best episodes of Total Drama Island? Because in my review of the episode, I admitted it was entirely pointless. After a torrential downpour controlled by production, the campers get washed away to some supposedly deserted island, filled with palm trees and coconuts, T-Rex skeletons, and Avatar The Last Airbender versions of several Jurassic Park attractions.
Looks like our deserted island isn't so deserted.
Together they have to find a way to survive on the island while, as Sapphire would put it,
hijinks will ensue.
Watch Steven Universe the movie. I don't care if you've seen the show or not, the movie is well worth your time and money. This story has virtually every problem that Bunch of Disgustingness had, minus the vomiting. There's no real character development, no specified challenge, there's not even an elimination. At least, not a legitimate one.
Mr. Coconut!
So yeah, you could remove this episode entirely and you would miss nothing in the season. But that in no way should be a reason not to watch it. Because this episode is just our favorite characters at their absolute funniest. Owen pouring out his secrets, Duncan, Gwen, Heather griping at each other, Chef and Chris just partying a few yards away from where the campers are stranded. And on top of all that, a lot of over-the-top cartoon shenanigans are getting in their way. This episode really shows the benefits of having a reality show in a cartoon environment, and it takes every advantage of that. Even the plot point where the contestants' sins are revealed, but all off camera. As mixed as my reaction is on that, I can't act like I don't see the good in that part of the story. It's just weird that they chose to not show that footage. I suppose we could just make up what their sins were. Duncan, You burned down an orphanage.
So that's what you went to juvie hall for.
Yeah.
Okay, and Heather, you blackmailed that orphanage, leaving them no money for fire extinguishers.
At least it's not as bad as what Heather did.
I admit it was a little unorthodox.
And Gwen, you ran away from that orphanage after killing the person in charge.
But it doesn't come close to what Gwen did, if that's even your real name.
Wouldn't that all fit beautifully with how horribly Jacked is? Whatever your thoughts on the episode might be, it's still a ton of fun to watch. It might not have a reason to exist, but it has every reason to be on the best list.
Don't worry, Mr. Coconut. I shall never let go.
Number 2. Basic Straining. Aw yeah, a military episode entirely with Chef in charge. The comedy just writes itself. As our teams in the episode go through Chef's made-up-on-the-spot boot camp. His challenge, his rules, and it leads to a lot of stress and excitement throughout the story.
What war were you in anyway?
I don't remember asking you to speak.
He so wasn't in a war.
But that's not what people remember about this episode. They remember the full development of the roller coaster wreck of a couple that is Dunkney.
Why are you so uptight all the time?
I am not uptight.
You always follow the rules.
Well, you always have to break them.
Only the ones I want to.
And yes, even with what Dunkney become in later seasons, this is still a very likable romance. Which is funny because it's still a pretty typical opposite-attract rom-com couple, but they both show their reasons for liking one another, and heck, I just love Courtney's transformation from studious Twilight Sparkle to chaotic Pinkie Pie. I'm happy you approve, Ultroni.
I just have one thing to say to you.
And what might that be?
You really need to take a chill pill.
And that's what everyone liked about this episode. Its only real flaw is the ending, and while not nearly as terrible an elimination as Lindsay's was, this was definitely unfair. How Harold rigged the ballots to get Courtney voted off, with no consequences on his part and no compensation for Courtney.
Let's see how you like it when someone messes with your love life.
And yet, people claim she got voted out fair and square.
She got booted out fair and square.
Myself and the law firm of Fleckman, Cohen, and Strauss would beg to differ. We filed a wrongful dismissal lawsuit against the producers. And won.
I'm with Courtney's lawyers on this one. Let her compete. But even then, Harold's misdeed does resolve his storyline here pretty well. And hey, he gets voted out in the next episode anyways. So it's not like he didn't get what was coming to him. On top of that, the comedy in this episode is just... oh, brother. This is a much better animated Michael Jackson routine, as opposed to that really crummy Halloween special he did. I love Michael Jackson's work, but that special sucked. For as torturous as boot camp is made to sound, this is a boot camp that I'd be happy to sign up for any day.
Congratulations, soldier. I'd go to war with you anytime.
And before I get to the number 1 pick, there were a lot of episodes that I really liked aside from just these 5. So, I'm gonna give an honorable mention. If You Can't Take the Heat. This one isn't on the list proper because a good half of the plot is pretty bad, the Killer Bass half in particular, as our teams face off in a cooking challenge to be judged by Chris. The Killer Bass storyline is just the other guys on the team hounding Harold and then being the victors of that little battle, and a little not enjoyable bickering from Dunkney, which, yeah, is the weak point of pretty much any couple. Ahem. But yeah, I love everything on the screaming gopher side, what a surprise.
I didn't get to be head chef because of poor presentation. No, you got to be head chef because you called it.
Though even that storyline had issues, especially with the terrible decision of letting Owen guard food that didn't need to be guarded for no reason whatsoever.
Tell me, you did not just eat that entire plate of ribs.
But it did lead to some entertaining moments all the same. And yeah, I just love the Hell's Kitchen homage, as I made a lot of jokes about such in my review of the episode. Though, this dumbass here forgot one really good Hell's Kitchen reference in the video. Let's remedy that here.
Oh, the horror!
You guys are so dead.
I guess I froze. I mean,
you froze?
What else do you want me to say?
You haven't even defrosted. You think it's funny?
Seriously, how did I forget that one? And to answer Gordon Ramsay's question, yes, that was very funny. As was the episode overall. It's sad it didn't make the list officially, but I'll give it a sous chef hat for putting forth a good effort.
You know what? I've had worse.
6.
And the number 1 best episode of Total Drama Island is... Hook, Line, and Screamer. This might be the most consistently good episode of the entire show. The jokes, the characters, the challenge, the references, they all fit brilliantly here. Our campers are left on the island alone as a newspaper tells of an escaped psycho killer with a chainsaw and a hook. But it's really a plot by production to see if our characters could survive a real-life scary movie, after having been shown a very cliched one complete with a black and white film strip.
Great Canadian cheese! Now the car won't start!
Not only is the episode great at breaking down horror movie tropes and even making fun of them, but it has every contestant be given a moment in the spotlight, with Heather being the skeptic who would obviously die in any other story.
Oh, come on! They don't expect us to fall for this.
Jeff's naivete, LaShawna's hardcore attitude, and especially Izzy and Owen.
Breaking rules 1 through 3.
But the highlights are obviously Gwen and Duncan, which, yeah, this might very well have been the origin of their showmance as well. They do have a lot in common and very good dynamics with each other.
I love when the killer jams that guy's hand into the lawnmower.
Or when he pushes the chick off the dock and then she lands on a propeller blade that slices her in half.
Or when he shoves that big dude's head inside the wood chipper.
But that doesn't matter to me as much as Gwen being the best character in the episode. I still remember her as a fan favorite from my childhood, but rewatching it, I began seeing her as just a draining downer on the cast. But here, while she's very serious, she's got a lot of passion and intelligence for slasher flicks under her belt.
Rule number 1, do not go off on your own. Rule number 2, if you do go off on your own, never go in the woods. Rule number 3, if you do go in the woods, never, ever, ever make out in the woods, or you will die in the woods.
It's the best I've ever seen her character, which was refreshing by itself. Even the elimination was something I found plausible. Without giving away exactly what happens, this one is worth not spoiling here. I don't want to ruin the ending for once, that's how good the episode is. There's not much else I can say about this episode except how much of a scream it was. And that's why Hook, Line, Screamer deserves to be called the #1 best episode of Total Drama Island.
Aww, group hug!
And that was my top 5 best and worst episodes of Total Drama Island. I hope you enjoyed it, and it's a real shame it has to come to an end now. Well, I know that, but just for the first season to end. It was so much fun going back and reviewing all this. I'm really gonna miss it. Hey, wait a minute. Yeah. Why don't I do that? That's right, let's get right back on track with this. Tune in next month for a new series of Halloween-based Total Drama reviews as I begin this new installment with my episodic reviews of Total Drama Action!
We're doing a sequel. We're back by popular demand. Come on, everybody, strike up the band.